I mean, that's all. Let's give applause for the day. This has been amazing. All I can just, I'm missing adjectives. This has been amazing. And this is our opportunity for Talkback to just kind of go through some touch points for the day. I have with me today two illustrious individuals. The first one is Ekindaya Ojumi. And then also I have Brooke Ruggiero, and I have your bios. I just want to take a moment to read both of them. For Ekindaya, joined First Tech Enterprise Data Analytics Center of Excellence in 2020 as the Senior Program Manager leading the Data Quality Management and Person Master Data Management programs for the organization. She brings with her over 15 plus years of experience in the information management field as a principal management consultant specializing in enterprise level business intelligence, master data management, and data analytics and reporting solution delivery. She is a first-generation Nigerian American and a Drexel University Dragon, having obtained both a Master's of Science in Commerce and Engineering, Management Information Systems, and an MBA focused in Technology Management and Production Operations Management. She has also received certifications for diversity, equity, and inclusion from the University of South Florida and Yale University, along with one in accelerating change readiness and agility from the University of California, Berkeley. Pleasure welcoming you here today. And I also want to read Brooke's bio. Brooke is a firm believer in the power of technical skills education. He is the co-founder of the Pacific Northwest's original Intensive Tech Academy Co-Fellows. As VP of Education, he loves building ever more accessible pathways into great cybersecurity and software development careers, and to see the beautiful breadth of humanity represented across the tech industry. Brooke and his big happy family live in Seattle's Rainier Valley since 2004, where they also host asylum seekers. Fun fact, Brooke will add hot sauce to just about anything. So I guess you put hot sauce on that thing. So I just want to take a few minutes to ask you a couple of questions, and I'll just put this out there for both of you. Can you share more about your interest in DEI, and also why is attending the DEI summit important to you?
You want to take it, bro? Okay. So this is my second summit, actually, and this has been, so it's very important to me. It honestly has been a great experience. I enjoy being able to interact and engage and hear from other practitioners in this space. This is actually, for me, it's almost like the side job. That's my side job at First Tech, essentially. I'm the chair of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Council, and I'm happy to work with the esteemed Marcus Carter, who was here earlier this morning speaking with all the other leaders. So for me, it was important to be here to also continue to, so for First Tech, starting the journey there with the council itself was something that we started back in 2020 with with two other leaders, and we were able to build out a council for First Tech, and that was something that was very important for the strategy of the organization to show that we were not just saying that there was something to be done in the space of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, but we're actually going to be actionable and do something in that space. And in order to do that, you really have to be trained, right? You have to have that mindset to continue to have that key, to have that ear to the ground, to listen, to see what's going on with others, and to share experiences. And so for me to be able to continue to help First Tech in that space, that's why I continue to join this summit. I hope to come next year, but also just because it's important, right? It's also important for me to know that I'm giving back and I'm a part of the solution, right? I'm a part of helping the change and knowing that I take responsibility for myself in this space, as well as the responsibility for others that should be in this space. So that's why I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, great thoughts. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and Greg, agree with what you're saying too. Like, whoa, like, woo. Also, and like, wow, too. So much good stuff today. Even some, taking it all in. So I'm so grateful for all the presenters and everyone who got to be here to hear from this. And me personally, you know, as a white male, I find myself very much at the center of that wheel of power that Sam shared earlier in the presentation. And I'm here to learn more, to push myself further, and to see what we can do to change the tech industry to be more welcoming, more inclusive, and a place where, you know, as you said, the beautiful breadth of humanity really can have a place and have a role and make an impact on using tech to really change the world, to make it a better place. And, you know, I agree. We heard this thread all through the day of how it's the right thing to do. It's the impactful thing to do. It's going to make a difference when everybody is welcome and everyone's got a part of it, a seat at the table. And so I'm here to learn more personally, keep developing myself, and to learn how I can use my position to open the door and make those accessible pathways ever more accessible to others who are coming along the road.
Thank you. I know this is a challenging question. We've had multiple presenters today, but listening to the presentations, did you have any, and it sounds like you had more than a few, aha moments that you would like to share, something that resonated with you personally?
I'll just jump in. The thing that really poked out to me, and I have to say thank you very much, Danita, was the comment that you made, and I took it down as a note to take back to my council, was when we say when are we going to start doing DEI? And I thought that was very insightful, because she also then went on to say that DEI is the actual output. And that's something that leaders don't think about, is the aspect of you're taking actions that essentially should be natural to you, should be something that's common to you. So it's not about doing this thing, it's about what's the output of having that empathy, having these actions actually in place. That's what DEI is actually the output for organizations to show, or for you to show that you had this better understanding. And so I thought that was a very strong comment, and a powerful statement to share with everyone today.
Yeah, I love Danita's opening comment. She set us up for the whole day with her first comments about this just being about humans. And, you know, there's a difficulty involved when you're working with people. It's the hardest part of even, you know, I've spent a decade as a software developer, and the hardest part of that job is working with other people and dealing with people. And when you talk about something as was so well highlighted by Kwame, that's so tied to our identity and our morality when we're talking about conversations about race, it just, the complication factors, the human factors get even more impactful. And so I think the frameworks that he offered were there's a lot of great insights in there for me. But one other really strong takeaway that I'm going to be remembering is Marcus's words on creating accountable spaces, and how that it's not just, you know, having a conversation. You know, for some people like me, you know, maybe the white males are needing to choose into the uncomfortableness, the conflict, and the tension. But for a lot of other folks, that's the daily lived experience. And, you know, we need to make sure that there's accountability behind that. And it's not just about uncomfortable spaces or safe spaces. It's about accountable spaces, and making sure that the people who are you know, facing that every day are rewarded for showing up, for being there, for being a part of it all in the midst of ongoing systemic protection of certain groups and systemic restriction and exclusion for others. And we're going to work to undo it.
Thank you both. You've said a lot, but can you also elaborate why these specific points were relevant to you in your everyday? You started, but can you all elaborate?
For me, it really comes down to, I mean, just to take you on the journey that I had here at First Tech. So, you know, people have the conversation that we need DEI. This is very important for the organization to, you know, that there are aspects of having that we show we have diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. But then what is it? What does that mean? Right. So it's the aspect of just knowing that it's an actionable steps that you're taking. People are paying attention. Right. That was also a comment that was made today where, you know, being a part of this and showing that you are creating a council, you're coming up with a strategy, you're trying to involve people in the organization. I'm a data person. So you're using data to your advantage in order to push forward the people in your organization that need that assistance. And developing resource groups or providing some type of resources even for people that need this in your organization. They're marginalized people in society, they're marginalized people in your organization. So why not put these practices into place? So for me, it's really important to hear that kind of statement, to stop saying, well, what do we do DEIB, but what do you actually do? Do you construct your team to look diverse? Do you interview in a diverse, in a language of diversity? Right? Do you actually practice this with regards to your thought and to your speech? Are you empathetic to everyone on your team that's diverse when they're speaking? You know, do you take this into your everyday practice for the organization in order to enrich yourself, and then have that come out and spill out into what the organization is supposed to be representing to society? And I feel like that's important here at First Tech, where we really try to ensure that what we are saying actionably outside of the organization, meaning how we're supporting the community, what we're doing to help others, we're actually doing internally as well. So that for me was why it struck a note and a chord, and I want to take it back to others.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, Katie mentioned about different cultures or subcultures within a organization, or even different businesses having their own approach. And so for us, the everyday at Code Fellows is all about working with people from all kinds of different backgrounds who are not a part of the tech industry, and figuring out how they can get there through software development or cybersecurity training, so that they can be in and be a part of, exist in, not just make it, but thrive in the industry. And the industry needs to change to welcome them, and we need to make sure that people are prepared and trained to with the reality of what they're going to be facing. And so we have some of these elements of DEI built into our technical training. It's really the empathy that Kwame was talking about is at the heart of so much of how we teach and train, and how we teach people to interact with each other, even their professional competencies. It's really centered around that idea of empathy and thinking through how to interact with others in a way that recognizes their emotions and where they're coming from. And so, this is something that is a part of our core mission in changing the face of the tech industry and making the industry more diverse. And it's key to how we're helping students from a wide range of backgrounds just step into this new world and these new roles.
Is there a particular topic that you would like to learn more about that you heard today, and if so, what is it and why?
Topics were great today. I think I'd like to, even the thought of even what Brooke was just saying with regards to thriving, that kind of thing to my mind, and it made me think of actually the aspect of is the thriving in the C-suite and the whole diversity aspect. Whereas and I've seen this, I'm pretty sure many of us have been seeing this, where there are many leaders of color or of different diverse backgrounds that are coming into that either senior level or C-suite spot lately. And it's interesting to watch, I think, over time, because for me, and obviously Greg shared some of my aging, but I've seen some things. And so you see people in these C-suite levels, but do they thrive, right? Are they able to thrive? I really think about that. And I was thinking about that throughout the course of the day, about all of these are tools that are very important for us to think about and share and to put in action about helping people to thrive, and even ourselves, right? So that's the piece where I feel like I would like to learn more about how do we truly, with regards to all of this brain power that we have, we start talking about putting things into practice just to initiate, to light the spark. But how do we keep the fire going? Because just even as Kwame put it at the end, we get tired. You get tired of if you're the only person at the campsite watching the flame, you're going to fall asleep. You want to go to sleep, right? You want to get some rest. So you got to think about how do we successfully pass the torch amongst, even if it's not amongst ourselves or bring people in, but being able to continue to keep that light on, right? That's something that I like to learn more about in this space, and hopefully we can get to that spot.
That's great. Great thoughts. I think there were so many moments today where we heard one of the speakers say something that just triggers, a whole bunch of other thoughts. And I think there was a lot of points where it was like, oh, I could say a whole lot more about this, but time is limited. And almost every one of those moments, I was like, how do I get more? I want to hear more. And so that definitely came during the disability inclusion, where Emma and Marie were talking about conducting an accessible hiring audit, for example, thinking about what that would look like, what the hiring process, how the hiring process can be audited for accessibility and inclusion of disabled people as well. We heard that also during Sam and Kai's talk on LGBTQIA plus inclusion. The wheel of power diagram looks like a workshop that could really be explored for a while, and that's something I'm going to spend more time just kind of staring at, as well as the cycle of liberation. I thought that was a cool graphic and something that shows how change can really happen and how we can kind of break out of these cycles of socializing the same types of ideas, you know, of racism and gender suppression and all of this that's just keeping us from moving forward. So lots of little points all through the day that I'm looking forward to exploring more on my own to learn more about.
You have both mentioned Kwame's presentation and how great it was. How would you describe today for someone who missed it, or someone who is on that path of DEI recovery? They are overloaded with DEI, and how would you describe the awesomeness today for someone who said, "No, this is just another DEI conference"?
I have to say, I feel like it's not just me. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know it's not just me. And it just feels, it made it more human. It makes it more, it made me feel okay about breathing again and taking a rest. Honestly, it's just, there is a lot of emotional ups and downs. Like you feel like you're fighting a battle for yourself and for others, and you're trying to also manage that emotional piece of it and taking that away. And so it really can get overwhelming sometimes, right? At least for me, from my perspective. And so it felt good to hear that it's okay to take self-reflection, to know that you can just take a breath and breathe and trust that, you know, you can jump back in, because honestly, the fight is still there. And that's the part where I felt like, okay, about hearing this stuff. It's like, you're right. If I stop, it's okay. There are other people that are still here, you know, fighting the good fight. And I believe in them too, just like they believe in me. So it felt good to know that it's, you know, taking that rest is okay.
That's great. And I just love seeing the efforts happening across so many different fronts, right? I mean, because today, you know, we were talking about race and conversations about race, but we were also hitting on issues of disability inclusion and LGBTQIA inclusion, and, you know, addressing things from the C-suite all the way down to just conversations about microaggressions that you can have with your coworker sitting at the desk next to you, right? Like, this is the full gamut, and there's people who are knowledgeable and, you know, fighting these fights just at every level, and it is energizing to see that it's happening and to know who's out there and what resources are available. And, you know, I think that's great to have a chance to get to look at each other and hear from each other, of amongst us who are, you know, trying to get this work done and trying to push the ball forward.
And you know, finally, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share about today?
Pass the word. I'd like to share that about today. Stop keeping us a secret. How about that? In the best way to put it, you know, toot your own horn, all of that. Continue to do what you're doing and share it. And about today is a matter of like this. For me, it was the second time around, and so I would like to see a third time, a fourth time. I'd like to see a 10th anniversary kind of situation where this grows. And so I feel like today is a part of a journey, and I enjoy it. And this ride is going to be tumultuous, but at least you have some people here who have your back and everything, and the sense of understanding and empathy and outreach and network. And so I encourage others to just encourage other people to join the next time, or even to watch the videos of today and to share them amongst their peers. You know, that's what we need. If you want to make a change, then the change comes from you, and you already know that. So, you know, maybe change someone else's mind by sharing some time with them to talk about what you learned here today.
It's awesome. Great tips. I took some notes on Kwame's talk, and I put it into my favorite kind of note-taking tool, which is a mind map. So here's a link in the chat of the mind map that I built of his frameworks. And I think what I am going to really be working on is what he said about practicing these kinds of conversations all, as often as you can. Practice having these conversations with yourself this way. Practice having the conversation with your family members, with your friends, with your coworkers, so that it becomes a habit. It becomes, intrinsic, almost second nature, to speak to someone with empathy, to ask these open-ended questions with a compassionate tone, right? These are the kinds of things that, like, I want to be good at. I want to get good at that, and not just to be persuasive or, to like it might lead to, but really to, in the moment when a difficult conversation about race comes up, I want to have those tools at the ready. I want to have that axe sharpened. I want to be able to be effective in addressing it in the right way in the moment. And so I'm definitely looking forward to working out the 3 steps of the compassionate curiosity framework, getting practice with that, and doing some practice with the calling in as needed. And yeah, I just, there's a lot there to work with, and I'm going to try to keep this in front of me to drill it in to my patterns of conversation.
One other thing, Greg, I thought about today, which I thought was key. It's okay to have your emotions. I thought that was interesting, and I don't know if people picked up on that. Was a lot of the tone I got today. Was like the feelings that you have in curiosity and thought in this space spark emotions, and those emotions are okay. It's a matter too that you also have that time for self-reflection. Check in on yourself, right? And so I think that's a whole piece of making sure that in this space, the best way I think we're probably going to be as powerful and effective as we can is to actually understand ourselves better, right? And because of the fact that we're actually advocates for people to start to understand themselves better. So you have to understand yourself a little bit first in order to be an advocate for others to understand others, right? So it's kind of like that whole feeling of understanding what that means. Your emotions really matter. So check, have some time with them.
That's a wonderful insight. I did not catch that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. I also want to say to our participants, if there is something that you want to see next year for ideas of what the next summit would look like or topics, please feel free to put that in the chat. There's also a survey that is in the chat that we would love for you to jump on and complete so that we can get some feedback for next year. And I want to thank both Brooke and Ekundayo. This is challenging. It is to not only be here for the entire summit, but to look at it through your lens. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of all the presenters and also the participants from giving us your lens, giving us your perspective on what you saw today. If I could write, I wrote down a few notes right here, but I will definitely go back to this recording because both of you said so many instrumental things that I just could not facilitate and write. So I'm going to catch those when I review this presentation over. So I just want to say both of you, thank you for being here and providing us with your insight. And the next session, I will turn this over to Maylene, and thank everyone for your time.
Yes, gratitude, Ekundayo, Greg, and Brooke for sharing your insights and your reflections on the proceedings today. It's thank you, Ekundayo, for joining us a second time and really being an active participant in this activity. We really do appreciate the support of First Tech, Verizon, Lyft, WSECU, Seattle Information Technology, and our sponsors in making sure that we can make this event available to all of our participants. We are wrapping up our time today. And again, thank you to everyone who were able to join us. We will be making these presentations available and we'll be sending you an email about how to access the recordings. We will also share a wrap-up report of highlights from the event and again, invite you to view the recordings. We have included in chat the link to the post-event survey. We would really appreciate it if you could let us know what you thought of the summit, things that we can improve, etc., so that for next time, we'll be able to make sure that we are meeting your needs. We also invite you to view the DEI COE site, website, as well as the Diversity Waymaker information on there. And I will include the link again in chat just to make sure that you all have it. And we'll also email the link to everyone, the link to the post-event survey to everyone who registered for the event. Again, many thanks to everyone who were able to join us, and we will see you again soon at another DEI Center of Excellence event. Much appreciation to everybody.